I'm Amanda.
I'm Mike.
Brian Smith.
I'm Jason.
And I'm also Amanda.
And today we're going to present some of our ideas on how Manresa can be appealing to younger generations, since that seems to be kind of the gap market that is currently not being catered to. So just a little overview of what we're going to discuss today. So after a lot of discussion, we realized that you guys identified a gap in the ages 20 to 45, but we realized that those are basically two different target markets, because people who are 20 years old aren't necessarily going to want to go to the same events and retreats that people who are 45 are going to go to. But what we also identified is that a key market in that group is the millennials, which we'll discuss later. So we kind of split up the market between 20 and 30, or 34, which is technically when the millennials end, and then 31 through 45, because we feel that those groups and those demographics have similar characteristics. And then we identified the problem, which is basically like you've said, is the lack of appeal to a younger generation. And then we come up with basically a general solution that we're going to give you and just a few recommendations. And just as a warning, these are pretty extreme recommendations, and some of them are probably out of your comfort zone a little bit, but we wanted to be able to give you too much and take from that the little things that you want versus not give you enough. So that's kind of the premise for what we're going to present to you today. And then, like I said,
Bravo.
we're going to try to help you reach the 20 to 45-year-olds, and basically that's all going to stem from targeting non-denominational church and groups as well as Catholics. So here where we started, we created two logos. So I created them on Photoshop and stuff. So since I didn't have the original logo, it's a little bit pixelated. So if anything, you could just send me the original logo and it'll look a little bit clearer. So we kind of discussed making a brand for this 90th year anniversary thing. So then you're kind of branding that self, and that's how you kind of get a bigger market and stuff like that, and kind of draw people in. I think the 90th anniversary and celebrating 90 years, I think it really creates an atmosphere where people, you know, there's something going on. It's a little bit more than every other year. And like the company picnics that you guys were talking about that draws 400 to 500 people, I think that's a great kind of area to say, we're celebrating our 90th anniversary. Come by and just take a look. Take 5 minutes, walk around, see what we're all about. So yeah, there's two different ones. I like this one a little bit more, and well, actually, I don't know. It's really preference. So here's one of them, and then the next one, here's the other one. Okay. So I'm going to talk about the different layouts so I'm a digital media studies student, so I do it's design and really like graphics and why things are the way they are, and like Z layouts and stuff like that. So I printed out this like kind of form that I'm going to kind of talk about so you understand the design principles behind what I'm kind of saying. So some of it's pretty obvious. Anyone that's not a DMS student will be able to tell. So content versus space. There's this thing in our program called white space. So it's the idea of having like this would be the white space, right? This would be the like your graphic, and that would be your white space. So you guys aren't creating enough white space within your brochures. It's all words, there's no dimensions, it's all the same text, same font, everything's across the board. And I think initially you're like, well, I don't want to go with crazy font or crazy this, and that's 100% okay, because when I go to your website, you guys kind of do go out of the comfort zone, and I think it was the wrong way. So you need to create a visual layout so that readers, want to read something. And I know it's hard with brochures because there's so much information you want to convey, and you have to fill it all in those gaps, but there's ways you should do it so that it's more appealing and people will kind of be drawn to the left bottom section, even though it has more words, because you have a good title and a good format of sizing and everything with your format of your layout and stuff like that. So fonts is one of the biggest things. You have to have for titles and stuff like that, not just a bold or not just a 14 point rather than a 12 point. You need to do something a little bit different. Within design principles, I'll talk about this a lot on the website. You should be using like 3 different designs within one font. So if you use one font, which you guys have been using Times New Roman, and I recommended a sans serif, so like an Arial or something, you should make one a little bit bigger and add some color to it. Or and don't go outside 3 colors either. So don't use a red, a yellow, a blue, a green, you know what I mean? Stick with one title color, use that throughout, and then body text, mix that up as well. And then pictures. I have a whole section just kind of about pictures. You guys are really, really cutting yourselves short with the lack of photos you have within your brochures. People want spaces in their eyes to be able to kind of separate all the text. All that text is overwhelming, nobody's gonna read it. So why not sell yourself the way you could with all the images? I mean, you sold me with Mary and Marisa, I have 4 pages of notes, but the one thing I have on every page is pictures. Because you guys' pictures are so beautiful and so great that you should be incorporating them in your brochures and things like that, because that's what drew me in. So kind of a good textual layout of where the pictures are with, a little subtext of, kind of what it is, what it means to you guys and stuff like that. Okay, so for your website, update. It's very clear it looked like circa 1990, not in a bad way, just being honest. So layout and organization again, I can't really stress that enough. And there's like a couple key things within the website that I noticed just right off the bat. The blue hyperlink, like the blue with the underline, click here, but it wasn't a link, it was just the way you had your fonts. Eliminate that immediately, that's very like 10 years back. And then you guys used all primary colors. It was yellow font, red font, blue font. Kind of go with one kind of color palette. So if you use like a blue for your subtext, use like a navy blue, then a royal blue, then another blue. Because when you have all those different things, although you think you're creating different spaces, it's just too much for an eye to kind of understand and see. It just becomes like blurb, 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 and it can't separate what blurb means what. So that's definitely one. Overall organization, I would suggest using the website wix.com, W-I-X.com. It's a free site, and then you can upgrade to like $5 a month so you don't have the little logo of wix.com, and it's literally the easiest thing to use. You can watch tutorials online, which just show you videos, but the layouts are already there. They're already a textured layout, formatted layout. Template, yes, template. So it's all templated. You pick what out of the 200 templates you want, and then you literally put your information in there, and they have already set color palettes. They have already set, here's the family of fonts you should use, here's what size you should use for your heading, for your things. So there's a million websites that you can make a website on, but Wix is the one I use for my own website, and it's the most easy to use, very user-friendly, very just clean and nice. So yeah, and then the 3 fonts, colors, stuff like that. And then I go into detail with like the background that you guys use, why you shouldn't use it, and stuff like that. So new layout. So I was thinking for your website, Wix will kind of give you different formats, but you also don't have enough pictures that show what Mary and Marisa is about, right? So you guys really like that one photo of the front entrance, which I think is strong. So I think you should do that in the middle, and then on the 2 sides, maybe some what's inside Mary and Marisa. Some of the community events or something like that, and then a little blurb of what you're all about. So have the 3 pictures across what you're about, and then go down and do some upcoming events. Because what you guys have now is something here in red font, something here in blue font, something here that's important, and these little images. But that's so overwhelming. How do I know that's more important than that or that? So you need to have a welcome page, and you need to have something that separates where your events are, because really the website, the front page, is going to be for all the new users, all the new people that are like, Mary and Marisa, I've heard about that, Google what's Mary and Marisa, look at it right away. So you need to attract those people. And then the people that come back, they'll know where the upcoming events are. So you don't really need to attract the upcoming events as your first key. You need to sell Mary and Marisa before you sell your upcoming events. So sell Mary and Marisa with those pictures, the about blurb, then right underneath it have your upcoming events. Because nobody cares what your upcoming events are if they aren't sold on Mary and Marisa. So I think that's one of the biggest things. And then marketing channels is the last thing I talk about. So a lot of these are really free and easy to do and stuff like that. I kind of eliminated the billboard and bus sign. I think those are a little bit far-fetched, and I don't really think they'll sell what you want to sell, the way you want to sell it. It's really expensive. If your main goal is 20 to 30-year-olds, which we think should be one of them, then a billboard isn't going to pull someone in. They need a little bit more information. So I would definitely suggest the website, flyers, brochures, and events. Definitely the website, because that's going to be everyone's go-to, especially in the digital age, when they want to know what it's about. That needs to be the first thing you update. Because if it's not a professional website, like even when I looked at it, I was like, well, did they update this lately? And then I saw the date, oh yeah, they have an event that's in a month, so they must have. but it doesn't look updated. So I think that's where you're gonna get a lot of respect from the millennials. Because we look at websites all the time, right? I probably look at 20 websites a day, and yours look like one I hadn't seen in 15 years. So I think that's your biggest kind of turning point that's really easy to do and something you can do within the next week.
So a lot of what our goal is and for you is to basically diversify the retreats. Just upon looking over the documents you gave us and on the website and those resources, we kind of saw that the current retreats maybe just aren't appealing to a younger generation. And so basically our goal is to draw on people age 20 to 45 years old, which we've discussed, and then the current issues are basically young people. We all discussed it. None of us would want to give up a whole weekend of not talking and not being able to use our phones. As petty as it seems, that is very important to the millennial generation. So a big problem right now is that we saw was that young people don't want to give up the whole weekend. And then the current structure, like I said, is just not enticing and not currently drawing the young people in. So I've basically broken down here the millennial generation for you, and I read a really wonderful article from Forbes about how to sell to the millennial customer, which basically your goal here is you have to sell the Manresa experience, because people our age aren't used to Jesuit retreats or Catholic retreats unless you kind of grew up in that culture. Being someone from a non-denominational background, I had no idea that these things even existed. So if you're able to sell the experience to this young generation, then you're going to be good to go. But there's a lot of really important things that you have to understand about the millennial generation. So basically, Forbes said that 2015 is the year of the millennial customer, and basically that this is really important for you guys, because even though you're not necessarily selling anything, we are your customers, this age group is. And so just some important things to understand that I thought really related to Manresa is that millennials socialize while they consume. So older generations can make decisions and do things without group collaboration, but the younger generation, especially the millennials, think that collaboration and communication is really important, which brings me to my next point, is that we're all about collaborating and we're all about communicating with others and cooperating with others. And a lot of our success that we have comes from being a team, and that's a lot different than past generations that focuses on individual success and things like that. So our generation is very team-oriented and very community-driven. We also are looking for adventure, so you have to entice the millennials to draw them in via something exciting or something new or different, because something that just seems like we can do anywhere isn't going to draw us in and make us want to take, like I said, time out of our weekend or time away from our phones and our friends. And then the other thing is that we're passionate about values, which I know the millennials get a lot of slack for not having values or kind of losing the values that have been established by past generations. But this is something really important to understand, that even though the values that we have may be different from older generations, we're still very passionate about them. So if you can cater to the individual values of this new generation, then you'll be able to draw in customers more successfully. So given that information, we kind of came up with 3 different recommendations, and like I said, these are pretty far-fetched and a little extreme, so I hope you can at least take some parts of each of these and kind of incorporate them into a new structure. So our recommendation number 1 is that communication is key, and that there should be more talking involved for, not necessarily for all retreats, but for retreats that are targeted towards younger people. So like I said, it's crucial to attract younger customers because we really value collaboration and we're very community oriented. So some ideas we had is that you can incorporate more reflection and collaboration into the retreats. And then more talking, like I said, for younger generations. And basically what you can do, so I know it's about spiritual growth and like kind of refocusing your spirit, and growing closer to God, but a big difference, like I said, for our generation is that we like to do things together. So here I wrote a little something that says focus on unity and growing together instead of individually towards God, because I think there's a lot to be said about groups using each other for support to grow closer to God. And then our second recommendation is more themed events, and not necessarily like really extreme themes, but just themes that might appeal to different groups. So just to target that, like I said, that gap age group. So some potential themes that we came up with, which are just some ideas that we threw together, are maybe some young adult retreats. At my church at home, we have a young adults group, and we go on retreats together, like just to the beach or something like that. And I know if there was a young adults retreat, specifically for that age, maybe like 18 to 25, my group would want to go if it was in Oregon, which it's not. But anyway, so I really feel that that has a lot of potential to draw people in. Then another option is maybe like people getting ready for marriage. I know that spiritual counseling is an important part of a lot of people's preparation to get married. So some sort of retreat for that might be a good way to draw in that age group. People preparing for college just to get more spiritually focused. New parents, people who are in college, which like I said, those are all basically focusing on the millennials. And then I know you have a married couples retreat, and I wasn't sure what the success rate was for that or the attendance, but even just coming up with some different events and some different style of retreats that might appeal to those married couples might be a good idea too. And so basically we just said that there needs to be a structure and schedule that's unique for each different group that you're trying to target. So my recommendation is that you take, like I said, the 2 sub-markets, which would be around like 20 to 34, just about that's where the millennials are defined, and then 34 to 45, and you come up with different ideas or different subcategories like these that you can kind of use to base new retreats off of. And then our third recommendation, especially for people who are college-aged, is maybe some day retreats. And like we said, the younger generation just isn't willing. I'm sure some people are, but most of us aren't willing to give up the whole weekend. And so we kind of came up with just a potential schedule, which like I said is probably pretty extreme, out of the comfort zone, but at least offers some good ideas. So the first thing was a Detroit-oriented service project to start out the day. And because our generation, especially people that live in Detroit, are all about revitalizing the city and making it a happening place again. Like we're all very passionate about the city of Detroit, whether we grew up here or not. And I think that that's a really important community that you can kind of target, because a lot of these people as well belong to churches that maybe wouldn't know about Manresa originally. So not only are you going to draw in people because of this event, but you're also going to connect with the community a little more than you would have before. And then maybe do a mass and a prayer like is in the normal retreats. And then there would be a personal time, so that would be the time for reflection and no talking, and that could be just a few hours just to let them wander and reflect on God and God's word. And then this is the big change, is like the collaboration and reflection. Everyone can come back together and kind of reflect on what they have, how they've grown spiritually throughout the day, and like what they saw, how they saw God working in the community, and so on. And then just end with prayer, however the retreats usually end. And this makes it so instead of having a whole weekend, people can come for a day, make a difference, and feel spiritually refreshed, and like we said, grow together instead of separately towards God.
I'm going to talk a little bit about rebranding and marketing. So obviously I have a little different outlook than everybody else here because I grew up in a very Catholic family. I went to a Catholic high school. So I think my outlook on it is a little different than some. I actually found this statistic that 70% of Catholics don't attend weekly Mass, which I found very, striking. It's a lot. And I think that Manresa, not just Manresa, but all the retreat centers in general need to revitalize faith as opposed to trying to attack certain things that the Jesuits would do or Basilians would do. You kind of got to revitalize that feeling of just being faithful, kind of having that feeling in your gut that you're just feel faith. The other thing I really found important was I talked to my friend Andy Hetton, who went to Brother Rice High School, and he didn't go to Manresa for his Kairos retreat. I think he went to St. Mary's, I believe. But he told me he went to Manresa for a retreat, and he couldn't stop talking about how beautiful the surroundings were. And I don't think you get that very much because the retreat center I went to at CC wasn't beautiful. It was just kind of a building. We went there, went through the retreat, and that was it. So I think that you guys really need to bring that out more. Just show people that, hey, we have this beautiful thing. Come around, walk around. Come out and just pray on our benches. It doesn't need to be a retreat just to get more people on your site is what I think is important for rebranding. Next slide. This was my little baby, I guess you could say. Dynamic Catholic is, I, for a little bit, didn't go to Mass very often. My mom kind of started getting on me about it, and so did my uncle. And she showed me this website, and it's called Dynamic Catholic. Every single day, I get an email in my email box, just kind of spiritual faith for the day, and it gives you this little splurb about anything, praying, working out, any little thing that will get you motivated for the day. And I was going through the website, and they actually said that they were looking for partnerships with individuals and with organizations. And they said all you have to do is simply fill out a form, tell them what your organization or what you're about, and they'll get back to you. And I thought this was a perfect opportunity, especially for you guys, to just reach out and just maybe be associated with this, because they have a great website and tons of followers on their website, tons of followers. And this, I mean, the whole aspect of Dynamic Catholic is to get this generation, that age gap that you guys are missing. So I think partnering with them or even contacting them, just talking with them about how you can rebrand your retreat center is very important, and it could really benefit you guys. Next slide. And the other thing I found very interesting was I looked at other retreat centers in the Archdiocese of Detroit, and almost all of them are going about the same thing you guys do. They have, yoga sessions, they have their retreats, they have their married things. And I think with the beauty you guys have on your retreat center that not all of these retreat centers may have, you guys should collaborate with these retreat centers. Bring in people from other retreat centers and kind of build that community. I know Professor Bernanke was saying how it can't just be Manresa, you have to rebrand the whole entire retreat center type of brand. And I think this is a perfect way to do it. If you start talking to these other retreat centers, bringing them in, saying, hey, can we do yoga together? Or hey, can we bring in some of your married couples and we do a big married couple retreat? That community that you could build would be very important, because yes, people like going to the retreat center, getting there, feel better after, and then they leave. But if you could build a community within that and kind of build relationships, I think that could do wonders for you guys and really help you guys grow, not just for Manresa, but for the retreat centers in Michigan in general.
The next thing I'm going to be talking about is motivational speaking while you're actually at the retreats. I'm not sure if any of you four are the ones that are leading it, or if you already have someone that's been doing it for a while, but I can't stress enough the importance of having somebody guiding you, like all the people coming through with experience and enthusiasm that just has them leading with a wave of optimism and just excellence of Manresa. An example of how this plays a role in my life, like all of us here, we're athletes. So sometimes we'll have our coach, who I see as overseeing the whole thing, and I view you four as the ones that are overseeing this whole thing. You guys shouldn't have to be worried about guiding the people through the retreats. I think that you guys should find someone whose sole purpose is leading and guiding through the retreats and just having so much energy and enthusiasm, and that will reflect on how people feel when they're leaving it. So you four should just focus on maybe overseeing everything, and then you have this one person or two people, maybe you switch on and off if they get tired, but you need to have one or two just go-to people that really, really bring out some energy from the crowd and have them leaving excited and having a call to action when they go back out into the community. So I think there's a good chance, especially with the younger generation that Tessa was talking about, is people are coming to your retreats, they might be a little nervous. They might want other people to make the first move. If you have this guy or a woman standing up in front that really just gets the place going, maybe they tell some stories, they have some jokes, that will really, really get things going, and it'll be really beneficial for you. I looked up online, we can go to the next slide, oh, this is good. It's a Speak Freak article, and one of the things that they really stressed was that they studied the audience going into it. You want to have a clear focus, and you want to know what you're going to say before you go into it. Just study and just practice, and just experience. And then another example I want to tell you guys about is I just moved to a new house in Waterford. I grew up in Troy, so we were looking for a new church out in Waterford, and we went to about 4 or 5, me and my mom and my dad, and we were listening to pastors and preachers, and we were deciding on a church based on how they acted, and a lot of it was off nonverbal communication with the congregation. How are they making eye contact? Are they walking around and getting people involved? And that's the kind of stuff that we were really looking for, and that is just huge. I can't stress enough how impactful that is in our decision. I think that would be great for the people coming to your retreat houses. If they get that experience, they'll tell their friends, and the word of mouth will just increase greatly just by having that one or two people that really just take it to the next level. I think that would be huge for you guys.
Okay, so I decided to take a closer look at your guys' Facebook page. So overall, we felt that there was a very good mix of content. We like that you guys right now are sharing other Catholic postings and links about the Vatican, and there were some prayers on there, and just some some nice articles. However, we did feel though that there actually could be an increase in Manresa actual postings. We'd kind of like to see some more posts that give a better look into retreats at Manresa. Like, we liked that there were those group pictures of the people that would come to the retreats, and hey, this was our group that just came this past weekend and whatnot. So we like that, and that should continue, but maybe even just a little bit more like, hey, here's what we're doing while we're there. We also feel, of course, as the theme's been throughout, an appeal to younger generations. So maybe try to include like some posts about faith and young people that would maybe appeal more to a younger generation. And also maybe in some of your pictures show some younger people at Manresa. All the pictures kind of seem to involve older generations of people, so we think that that would maybe, you know, give younger people a better look at, hey, there's other younger people that are coming to Manresa, so why can't I? Also, just to try and continue to increase the likes on your Facebook. This will help to spread awareness and market to younger generations without even having to do much. Another thing that we kind of came up with is the importance of testimonials. We definitely think that they should be featured somewhere pretty prominent, because testimonials obviously can make or break you, but it sounds like that a lot of people that go to Manresa have very positive feedback about it, so why not share that with others? We definitely feel like testimonials can encourage those who are on the fence to attend a retreat, and by reading others' experiences, it will hopefully give those potential candidates an example of how they will feel by attending. It also, by using testimonials, it also allows others to share their thoughts about Manresa, so, you know, it's a good way for them to be able to express what they felt and share it with others and feel like that they're spreading the good message. And also these testimonials will also strengthen the credibility and the value of your overall Manresa experience, which is obviously something that you guys are trying to convey to others.
Okay, so I'm going to be discussing kind of ways that you're going to be able to reach out to your target market. These percentages are showing the percentage of people from these age groups that are using Twitter. So as you can see, the age groups that you are trying to attack, obviously the most, 37% of people that age are active on Twitter that are active online. Same thing with 30 to 49. So obviously Twitter is a big way that we want to reach out to our target market. Next slide. So the handout that you guys gave us when you came here, it said on the bottom that you had a Twitter account. I know myself and all of us, like, we tried to find it. I could not find it anywhere. The thing when I type in Manresa Jesuit Retreat House, this is the first thing that comes up. Obviously, it's not in Michigan, so it's not yours. And then, so what I was saying is we have to establish like presence on this site. Like if you do have a Twitter, I would recommend probably making the handle name, like the @ name, stronger. Like you might have to include like your location in it or something. But there's obviously people that are even tweeting like about, like I follow, like when it's, you know, Manresa Jesuit Retreats House in Bloomfield Hills, Michigan. They don't know your Twitter handle, or else they would have added you and included it so that other people saw the post. They could have clicked on it. Another kid, he's from Troy, Michigan. I looked on his profile, and so he just passed by it, and it brought back all the great memories. I don't know what those are, but yeah. Okay, so yeah. So obviously he had a great time in his past, but he didn't tweet it at you, and he didn't, and see, he had 6 favorites, so obviously other people saw his tweet and they thought it was a great tweet, like they probably had a great experience too, but they still are not able to click on your link. And again, right here, I mean, this is another example. They know where it is. It's not like they don't know where it is, but they still can't contact your exact Twitter. So my recommendation would probably be make your Twitter handle name stronger, like something that has to include maybe the location in it, you know, West Bloomfield or Bloomfield Hills, that, you know, you might have to include that in the name. So the other social media website that we would hope that you take advantage of is Instagram, which you guys don't have yet. But as you can see here, so 37% of 18 and 29-year-olds use Instagram, and 18% of 30 to 49-year-olds, whereas none none use it that are over 50. So like Twitter, we think that this is another social media website that you'll really be able to attract followers for. And another point that, I mean, I'll reiterate it because it's been said 1,000 times today, but Instagram is a picture-based social media website. So you're basically posting pictures and you can have like a little caption in it if you want. But obviously, like we said, I mean, you have the scenic views around Manresa. This would probably be the best social media website to exploit the pictures and the scenes that you have at your site. So the last thing that I'm going to talk about, which is kind of getting into your budget a little bit, which is sponsored ads and pay-per-click marketing, which is kind of the same thing. I mean, it's every time you click and navigate to a different page, you're going to see different advertisements on the right-hand column. So one that we have recommended is Google AdWords. It's very easy. It's like a 3-step process to sign up for it. And it'll only cost you about $10 to $20 a day, and it'll cause like immense traffic to your website if you do it correctly. I mean, somebody in the Detroit metro area, if they typed in retreat, if you bid it right and you do it right, Manresa, Jesuit Retreat Center could be the first result on the right-hand side of their page if they type in retreat, if it's an advertisement that you guys strategically place. Another one, because so many people use Facebook, and you see them all the time, they're on Facebook right on the right-hand side, and they're so cheap. It's like $1 a day, and there's 9 different filters that Facebook runs through for you so that it will go directly to your customers. So between this with the budget and then Instagram and Twitter, I mean, so many of us use it. I know there's at least 4 out of 6 people in this room that have both a Twitter and an Instagram, and we're 22 years old, like, I mean, about the range that you're looking for. So those social media websites and these sponsored ads or pay-per-click marketing, whatever you want to call it, will be really effective for you.
So that kind of wraps it up for us.
Wow.
Very good. Nice. Thank you. I have a couple of questions.
We hope you would.
Get the light.
You like it right there, Mike?
I like it's frozen. I want to take it off during, but I didn't want to interrupt.
Tessa, you were talking about the values of the millennial generation. Can you kind of list for us some that you would encapsulate as
Yeah.
being values?
I would definitely say family. I mean, obviously every generation is family oriented, but I think we have almost, we are like dedicated to our families. Like everything we do, we want to do because of them, and I think that's a big one, and especially in friendships as well. And not necessarily friendships that are right here, but friendships that we use on social media. So and like I said, a lot of the things were on there, but like even just communication and our personal morals. I think this generation, more than a lot of them, are more stubborn about our morals and less likely to kind of give up on them just to agree with others. And so I think there's a lot of value in kind of catering to what we value, and a lot of it too is just like on being part of something different and something new, and that kind of ties into the Detroit community as well. So I mean, there's just a lot. Our generation wants to like revolutionize things and like be the first to do things, and so if you integrate that kind of feeling and that kind of revolutionary feel to Manresa, even like revolutionizing faith, I mean, that even could be a value that we hold dear.
Let me add something, Tess, and that is, I think it's safe to say that your generation is probably more committed to education than any other generation has ever been. And having said that, certainly my experience looking at the differences between millennials on the one hand and boomers on the other hand, that you folks definitely want to be part of something. You want to make a contribution. And when you talk about the depth, I think that's really a marked difference. And I think millennials are, I use a jackass example, but the Earth Day is upcoming. And, the environmentalism crap is more for boomers than you folks, but it's part of the bigger picture. And the idea of standing for something, making a contribution, and feeling that you can make a difference. I think that's very, very important. and speaks to your generation better than any generation I'm aware of.
And another thing I was going to say off Tessa's point is the college kids. I've never really felt like I needed God as much as I did when I moved away and kind of was on my own. So I think that that's a really big kind of target audience in a sense that you could kind of reach out to, is that a lot of people, you know, they're on their own for the first time. Everything's, you know, especially out-of-state kids. And I think you should really like go to schools and really, you know, make a presence in universities as well. So I think like you might hit 1 out of 20 kids that are really struggling, but that 1 out of 20 kids could come back and be like, that really refreshed me, you know, during finals or something like that, where like it's a really stressful time and you kind of don't know where to go. And or seniors or freshmen, you know, the two biggest extremes. I think people are really looking for something to kind of help them or make them feel like they're not alone. And I think that you guys can create that atmosphere.
Yeah, and the idea is to sell an answer, not religion.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to hear religion adventure, not at all, but they want to hear answers, you know, how it makes a difference in their life and will make a contribution that's different than selling religion.
You talked about themed events, and I thought that was really interesting, that the approach to the younger target. Not talking about typeface or white space, I mean that, but did you see events that are currently at Manresa? Meaning I look at this as additional thinking, but did you eliminate anything that's existing that you said, boy, they're really wasting their time there?
Not really into specifics, but I remember the first event on the right-hand corner, or like the right-hand side, right when you go onto it on the right. We should do it. It's fine now.
I can hold up.
I think, yeah. And then I'll just show you right now. That'd be it. Show you the goal.
But it's on the events where I'm thinking
Yeah, and
about.
I am pretty sure like the graphic, okay, so yeah, like this master's, yeah, like the garden thing. I think, why not show your garden? You know what I mean? That was my biggest point for that is, like right here is like, why not show, and I don't know what these are. You guys have these kind of, I know it's like a kind of space thing, but I think you should eliminate those. But then like also this, and I think instead you should stop doing this and do more this than this. You know what I mean? Layouts like this, because when, can you scroll up please, sorry. Because I look at this and then I'm like, oh wait, I have to look at this and then I have to look at this. So I think instead, I didn't even read it. I couldn't even remember, but I remember the placement of it. And I remember that I was kind of, I didn't know what my eye wanted to look at or what I wanted to focus on. And I think like the Master's Garden, that's awesome. That's the most important when it is, right? In the title. It's all the same, you know? So you kind of have to separate it. So, you know, what is it and when is it? That's the two first questions somebody's gonna ask. Okay, it's probably there, right? So I can figure that out, but if not, additional information. Oh, that's where I can order tickets. So I think that that's kind of where I was going with like the typeface. Yeah, that's I didn't know. Yeah.
I think what I was hearing is stay with some of the things you're doing, but approach and show it differently.
Yes.
You're not selling your guy. I mean, I think that's the biggest point you're saying. You
It's
guys
good
have everything that everyone wants. You're just not selling it the way you could be. And you're really like cutting yourself short, like the pictures. Why pick a clip art or like whatever this design is when you have beautiful gardens that if I was a gardener, I don't know what the specific word is, I would love to be a part of that. Look how great that's done. They must have great tips, right? So.
What about the thing on the left-hand side?
Yeah, I talked about that. There's a little bit more in detail in the thing, and I'll give you guys like with the background stuff like that.
So do you recommend a whole different kind of welcome page?
Yeah.
Kind of thing? That's
It's
more-
good information, it just could be formatted, you know, a little bit differently,
Yeah.
different colors, like kind of like the black, and then with that kind of that.
I feel like I'm going into like a crypt with those things on the side.
Okay.
I think I'm playing an really old video game.
They're
on
just
like
really,
Switch.
it's just old school. That's
very
the
old.
thing.
Yeah, you
That's
know,
like a
and
cemetery feel.
Doesn't it? That's the first thing I saw out there. I was like, oh,
Bring up
jeez.
what's
and
on.
you know
Very
what,
dark
if you
and
do it differently, do it well, just because of that, you will get interaction.
You will.
You'll get, you know, folks will respond in
Go
Facebook on
See, like this
Twitter,
is-
just for doing it,
This is
that's
like
all.
all the formats that are free. You know what I'm saying? And they show you how to do it, and like this, they'll literally give you, and then you click here and type in what you want. You click here and type in what you want. So this is Wix.com. So I think, and this is Dynamic Catholic, the one that Bernie really
This
likes.
website's awesome.
But see, like how that just gives you a different.
It's completely like, wow,
And
I know
this-
where that is. I know.
This cycles through and gives you like updates, new. You can get that same thing.
Wix.com, they give you this format.
Okay.
And then here should be scrolling photos.
It's bright, it catches your eye, it's enticing.
This
less
is
is
all
more.
east- This is
Less
all
is more.
east-west too. I mean,
Yeah.
all the buttons are on top, all the way across.
That's
That's 100% what you should do.
Your-
It's typically the
Come on.
Your old page almost looked like it should have been like a fold in half. Like there was
Yeah.
2 different pages of it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You had a
Yeah.
left side and a
You're
right.
right.
It's
You're right.
You had a
wasting
left side and a
space.
right side, almost like it was folded. You know.
And it'll take, Wix.com, it's a little bit hard, I mean, not hard, but just some things you have to like
They'll work
understand.
through it, yeah.
You'll work through it, it'll take you
It's not
less than a
doing it
week.
that I'm afraid of, really.
What?
It's not doing that.
Yeah, and there's so many formats when you go to it that like kind of you can pick what one you want.
You said something about the blue underline link
This stuff.
stuff.
And then there's like also down, there was like more.
Oh yeah, there's a
like,
whole bunch of them.
A
There's
lot
so
of
many,
those.
and then keep going. And then these pictures are super pixelated, which shouldn't happen on a website.
Mm-hmm.
And make
Kinda
sure you're
old.
getting original images. That's the biggest thing, because I could talk about like DPI, but pretty much when you print something out, it's at 300. But when
Right.
you put something on a website, it's 72. So you need to make sure you're getting full DPI photos when you're putting them on here. If not, you'll get this pixelation. Where it's, or you know how your logo looked pixelated?
Yeah.
That's why, because it wasn't the strong, it's like the pixels are trying to expand to what they can't expand to.
Everybody,
this
there's
email.
about 3.5 minutes left, and then I kick everybody out.
All right. Oh, let's see.
Great ideas.
Just to interject here, you guys have all done a very, very impressive job. I'm
Thank you.
very
Appreciate
proud
it.
to be a fellow UDM.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good. You said something about increasing likes, and I know you can boost or whatever that is.
On Facebook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll do it just by having another, a different presentation, and you'll get the chatter going.
Yeah.
That's what that's all
If
about.
you, so I run, my uncle runs a
Yeah.
marketing agency, and so I do his Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest posts.
Yeah.
And he has all of his things linked in through his Facebook. So I go on Twitter, and it's called the Bernie Director.
Is that a little
Clever, right?
self for LinkedIn?
Yeah. So I go on.
Really good amount, right?
I'm just trying to. I go on Twitter, and whatever is he posted on Twitter,